What's going on, people? Welcome back to another JSTV back again. And tonight I've got Jamie, a Nottingham Forest fan. And welcome to you, Jamie, from Nottingham Forest Hostel Radio.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good to be here. Just been watching the Euros, so hopefully something a little bit more exciting to talk about now.
Fantastic stuff, fantastic stuff. This is a recorded show, guys, but make sure you leave a comment in the chat as well, which would be helpful. And if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. And do follow Jamie Martin on social media as well. And I'm going to get you to... I'm going to post as well a link to the channel as well. I'll do that later on as well, so you can subscribe to your channel. So, yeah, Jamie, thanks for coming on, man. And you're going to talk about Vlachodimos and his sign for Newcastle United, right? We don't know how much it is, but I'm getting 12 mil, 10 mil, couple mil. We don't know. I don't even know the length of the contract either. So, yeah, so we're going to talk about him. He signed for us anyway as a part of the PSR deal because he saw Elliot Anderson. They're worth 35 million quid. And yeah, so if you'd like to tell me what sort of key we're going to get from this guy, Newcastle fans will be intrigued to find out what it's all about. And I'll get mixed reports as well. So what do you think, man?
I mean, look, first of all, we'll start off and just say that he's a very experienced goalkeeper. Caps for Germany, most recently caps for Greece, though he was born in Stuttgart, but he's played for Greece. So fantastic international goalkeeper. Greek fans rate him highly, and there's a reason for that. Benfica fans rate him highly, but he fell out with his head coach, and that's why he came to Forest. So, really good success over in Portugal. When he came to Forest, the situation with Matt Turner turned out to be not so great, so he started to get a few games. A big 5-0 thumping at Fulham was pretty much a nail in the coffin for him, though, in terms of his Forest career. Was not good that game, didn't really make many saves. And I think maybe the pressure on him didn't really help. He didn't get a lot of game time. And in the games where he did play were times when Forest were at a real low. And there wasn't really a lot of breathing space for him to kind of have a game or have a good game. I don't know how to kind of word it, but in a way, he came in at the wrong time. And there was a lot of pressure, a lot of eyes, particularly on the goalkeeping spot, when it wasn't just the goalkeeper that was at fault. In fact, for most of it, it was the defenders that were at fault. But there's a lot more spotlight on the goalkeeper and eventually just found himself out of the team. So he's a very capable goalkeeper, a good professional. He commands his box and he can make saves. It just didn't work out at Forest. And to be honest, that's just how it goes sometimes. So I'm sure he'll do well for you at Newcastle. I think it'll probably be limited game time, probably second keeper. But nonetheless, with how Nick Pope is with injuries, you're going to need him.
Yeah. The thing is, right, I mean, you look at Joel Linton for example, right? When Eddie Howe came in, he was absolutely shocking, and Joel Linton turned his career around. But Eddie Howe is very good at improving players, yeah? So hopefully he can improve Odysseys as well. And I've got every faith in Eddie, and I hope this guy's coming in, right? Odysseys hopefully does the job if he's fit. And I'll back me players, always back me players, yeah? Always get behind the players as well. And within reasons, yeah, and I'll give him a chance. So what are we going to get from this guy? I mean, what's his strengths? What is his strongest strengths? So he knows a good shot stopper, and also as well, and his concentration levels is quite good. But for me, I mean, he flaps across this, and that's not good. I mean, what do you think? You tell us all, man.
Yeah, the corner's not too great. I think the punching out sometimes was a little bit frustrating for me, because when I see a goalkeeper in the box, I like to see them get the ball because I want to see them recover possession. I want to see them, because you're still in danger around the edge of your own box. You know it from the Premier League. These players are the best in the world, so they're going to be shooting from outside the box, and there's good times where they'll score. So you do want someone that commands the box a little bit better than that when it comes to set pieces. But in terms of actually speaking to the defence, the communication, I thought at the start was really good. When we beat Aston Villa 2-0, it was really positive, but then it kind of took a little bit of a downturn after that. So I'll be honest, we haven't seen too many of his strengths because limited game time. And when he's played, it's been at a time where there's so much pressure and spotlight on him that I think the pressure has basically just got to him really in certain situations. So I'll be honest, I think Eddie Howe, as you mentioned, is someone that gets a lot out of players because he has that belief in them. And I think that all Odysseus Vlachodimos needs is just someone to believe in him, someone to just kind of tell him what they want from him, give him a bit of game time here and there, and you'll get the best out of him.
Yeah, I've probably played a couple of games as well because Nick Pope's injury record's not great. I mean, he was out for 4 months, and then if he gets another injury, then we got real problems because we've already got John Ruddy as well as a goalkeeper as well as a third choice as well. So we're starting to keep us all over the shop already at the minute. But you know what? It is what it is. But we're going to talk about odysseys as well. I've got a few Twitter comments as well. I mean, got one here from Chris. And basically saying, not much to say, comfortable with the ball at his feet and uncomfortable with everything else. English game's not for him. Will warm your bench nicely as a PSR make weight signing. Was he a make weight? Was he PSR make weight signing first, mate? Which is he that? Because I think he is really just to help you guys out, because clubs are doing it now.
I mean, there's mutual benefit. Obviously, I think that we are other than the kind of price value of it, we're getting a better deal by a mile. I don't think Newcastle have got the better end of the stick. I'll be honest with this. £35 million reported fee, but it's heavy in instalments. The clauses are heavy as well. And I can't really ever see the value going above probably the 25-30 million mark, depending on the clauses. So, I think with respect to Newcastle, who are a great club, and I enjoy going to St James Park every time we play there, Vlachodimos in proportion, albeit a different position, I think we've got the better deal 100%. And it is definitely a make weight for PSR, but at the same time, you needed a keeper that was capable, but maybe not first team. And in a way, you've kind of got that, but at the sacrifice, unfortunately, of one of your best academy prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see on that when he gets a better deal. But as things stand, I think Elliot Anderson looks like a better deal at this moment in time. If you played for Benfica between 2018 and 2035 seasons with Benfica, 151 appearances as well, which he's got vast experience. And you know what? On his day, he can be a good keeper, but on other days, he can be a bit of a liability. And this is a shame because he's a capable goalkeeper. And for Greece, he's got 42 international caps as well. So obviously, he cannot be that bad a keeper. But I think the fans are split on this. I mean, we Newcastle fans, right, like to give players a chance, which I think is right. Yeah. But some of them are not very confident about this signing. And are we assured that we're going to be okay with Odysseys, Vlachodimos?
I mean, look, Newcastle's a massive club. A massive club. It's one of the biggest clubs that there is in the Premier League in terms of stature. And there's a lot of eyes, and like I mentioned earlier, a lot of spotlight. So for any player that joins Newcastle, they know they've got a massive atmosphere at St James's Park in the city of Newcastle and just up north in general, that are going to be watching their players. Because especially in the last couple of years, things have took a massive upturn, and so have expectations. So don't expect too much with Vlachodimos is all I'd say. But also, I know there will be harsh comments, and rightfully so as well, because Forest didn't see the best side of him, and the fans of our club are more than in the right way, in the right position to make those comments because they've not seen the best player that they expected. But I like to give players the benefit of the doubt. No one becomes bad overnight. I think that pressure's a big part of it. Maybe physicality of the English game. I don't know. But, he's a really nice guy. He's a really top guy. Maybe the pressure's just got to him. As I say, no one becomes poor overnight. So I think that, with the right backing and when he's called upon, if they've given him enough faith and, Eddie Howe's given him kind of a bit of a pat on the back, I'm sure he'll be fine. So, I'm not saying get really excited, but I'm sure he'll do well.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get excited yet, or we'll be getting excited yet on this occasion at this moment in time. But he's made 5 appearances for your club, for Forest, and he's played 450 minutes in that time, and he's got a rating of just over 6 out of 10 for all for the games he has played. So that's above average for me. And you know what? I mean, like I said, I think he deserves a chance in the Premier League. I'm going to give this guy a chance 100%. And you know what? I mean, the game against Villa, he's got a percentage of 7.6 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10 against Villa in a 2-0 win and a clean sheet as well. So that's a bit of a rarity.
I mean, look, it was a solid introduction. When I was there at the game, when he was in goal, he was taller. You could tell he had something a little bit more about him than Matt Turner, with respect to Matt Turner again. I think he had more about him than Matt Turner at the time. He seemed like a more experienced goalkeeper based on that performance, but then it kind of took a dip after that. So everything was right that day, but at the same time, the rest of the team performed a lot better. So, if there wasn't as many eyes on the goalkeeper, the eyes would have been turned to other players that actually needed the criticism. Some of the stars in the team, as much as I don't like to criticize the players heavily, some of the stars in the team weren't given enough criticism at the times when they should have been. And I think the goalkeeper Vlachodimos maybe took a bit too much stick. But at the same time, he didn't cover himself in glory. He wasn't fantastic. But that Aston Villa game was really, really good. And that there is definitely signs from that game that say to me, Vlachodimos can be a very good player. It was just the consistency that was an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the thing, man, because at the end of the day, when you're a goalkeeper, it's not the easiest of jobs as well. You've got to really concentrate for the whole of the game. And obviously, in games that he has struggled, and then that game against the Villa, he did absolutely fantastic. But the Forest fans, right, can be difficult to please. I could be wrong on that, yeah. But does he get a lot of stick from the Forest fans, or did he get behind him, or obviously he has to really take it to the fans, but obviously the fans gets behind him, which I think is a good thing. But at the end of the day, was it the right time for him to move on to Newcastle, or would you be prepared to give him another season to make sure he gets right?
No, I don't see the need. We've got Carlos Miguel coming in from Corinthians probably this week. 6'7", really experienced goalkeeper out in Brazil, and obviously their fans are disappointed to lose him. We've still got Matt Turner as well, so there's three keepers there: Sels, Miguel, and Turner. So one, we don't need him. Two, it's a better move for him in his career. Even if he doesn't play, he's got a club that's going to pay his wages, and it keeps him happy, I suppose. But game time would be great for him, and I think he's going to miss that aspect of it a lot. But look, I think that overall, it's the right time for him to move on now. It didn't work out for us. The fans have given him a lot of stick, but as I mentioned earlier, a lot of it is right. There's a lot of deserved stick as well for games that he's been really poor in. But in a way, the environment at Forest maybe just didn't suit him. And we are a hard fan base to please, because we're Forest and we've had a history of being successful, and we're in a period of not so much success. So fans from that generation are eager to see that success back, and fans of my generation are eager to see success at all. So the expectation's more now. So, and also B, we're in the Premier League. We're nervous all the time. We feel like there's a trap door underneath us, and you never know when it's going to get pulled. You don't want to get relegated. You hope every season you don't. And we're fortunate that we're on a third season now. But with third seasons comes, new incomings and also outgoings as well. And Vlachodimos is just one of them, I think. So it's evolving. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I think Newcastle fans are going to be very, very worried about this guy. But you know what? They got an opinion, and that's cool. Got one from Slit Rick, right, on social media. He said, wouldn't take more than 2 minutes. Absolutely dreadful taking crosses. Doesn't command his box at all. Can't distribute a football. Doesn't move off his line and saps all the confidence out of the defence in front of him. In seconds, go watch him against Fulham last year. Apparently, he had a mare against Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I mentioned it earlier. That was the game that was really poor. From the Villa game, I thought that he commanded his defenders well. The commanding of the box in terms of the crosses and set pieces was really poor, as I've already said. But the Fulham game really was a poor one. I was playing football like I'm going to later. And, my manager tapped me on the shoulder and said, look, Forest are losing 5-0. So I've kind of gone back and looked at the highlights and watched the game again. And it was really, really, really poor. And again, he was a big part of that. And I think as a defence, you've got to try and play your game well. But in order to play well, you need a goalkeeper that can give you a bit of confidence, that can give you something to talk about. And the problem was Vlachodimos didn't really do that, as kind of Slick Rick alluded to. And unfortunately, if you don't feel your defence full of confidence, they're not going to be confident, and it's going to make your job a lot harder. So, I think it's definitely a harsh comment, but I don't really disagree with it.
No, Fair enough. We're going to quickly on to Danny Tring. It's just to give you an insight. There's general consensus that he's awful. However, in my opinion, I don't personally think he was that bad. Put it this way: if you had a choice of him or Turner, I'd take him every time. That's in Danny Tring.
Yeah, I mean, we watched a lot more of Matt Turner, and there was some performances where I said Matt Turner was actually decent. But I just think that it's, I don't even really know what to say, because both of them have been really poor for Forest, Matt Turner and Vlachodimos, to be fair. So, I think in some ways Vlachodimos seemed a little bit more calm. And when there was times where you're under pressure, particularly with their forwards putting pressure on you, he didn't kind of panic as much as Matt Turner did. But there's a lot more to a goalkeeper's game, and I think that's kind of where it's an interesting comparison to make, because both of them I don't think are good enough to be our first team goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair comments. Newcastle fans, leave it in the live comment later on to tell us what you think. Or do you feel confident? Are you sure about Vlachodimos coming in number 2? I've got one here from Lewis Todd. 20 minutes about Vlachodimos. Haven't even got 2 words for him. Fair enough. I've got one from Jack. They got to Jack, another Forest fan. Can't come for crosses or corners. I'm sure some Pickford. All right with his feet, but what I remember. But on the whole, he is. I'm not going to say it, but there you go, mate. So he's telling me about this guy as well. So he's not very confident either.
Yeah, he's brutal. Again, he is brutal. But look, that guy, I've seen him on Twitter a load of times, and he watches Forest weekly. He knows his stuff, and that's the frustration, about Vlachodimos. It's a general consensus, and it's a general frustration, because there's fans that have seen him so much, and the worst games have been when he's been in goal for much of it. And also there is just a frustration actually at the recruitment and at the club, because you've got 2 goalkeepers in Matt Turner and Vlachodimos that came with so much hype and so much good review that turned out to be really poor. So in a way, they were set up for their own downfall, which isn't particularly their fault, but the club should have done better in terms of their recruitment, and I'm a bit wary of American goalkeepers anyway, in fairness, because I think in Europe they do have a very different style of goalkeeper, and there is a lot more about possession recovery as opposed to just clearing it away or, being a little bit more rash. So, I'm and I will just say as well, I'm devastated for every player it doesn't work out for, because everyone who comes to Forest, I want it to work out, because I don't want the club to waste money. I don't want there to be negative spotlight on the club, and I don't want fans like these guys on here to be disappointed, but they are. And as much as I'd like to say, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, we have to evolve as a football club. We have to go forward. And I will just say, Vlachodimos wasn't good enough for us. And he might be good enough for you, just like Sels is good enough for us, but he wasn't good enough for you guys. This is just how football works. Environments, there's various factors that you have to take into account. And at the end of the day, we've got Sels, and he's our standout performer. He was fantastic at the end of the season. And you guys have got Vlachodimos. And who knows, if Pope is absent, he could be the exact same for you.
Fantastic stuff there, man. Just sure Newcastle fans will be a lot happier there now as well. So for Sundays, hope Forest fans are wrong, saying they wouldn't trust him driving the players' coach. That is absolutely beautiful. So for Sundays, I know him as well on social media. He sounds a good guy as well. And you know what it is, right? It's just for me, as a Newcastle fan, I want to give this player a goalie a chance. Yeah, he's not going to get 38 games to Newcastle. Nick Pope's got that for me. However, I just hope that he comes in and he does the job, and Eddie improves him all the time. He'll be playing in Carling Cup games, and he may play in FA Cup games as well to give Nick a chance. And so what can I say is as well, going to Elliot Anderson, 35 million quid. I don't know if you watched him or see clips of this guy. For me, I think he's a really good player. I mean, he's a bit raw. He's only 20, 21 years of age, and he plays on the left side in the midfield. He can play wide left as well, if needs to be, and he plays central as well, if needs to be as well. But you know what? He'll come good. I mean, give the lad time, and Jamie, he'll be a fantastic player for you guys, but he's got to be in the first team.
Yeah, look, I made comments on Twitter about the price, which I didn't like. I didn't like the price of Chris Wood when he signed, but it was no reflection at all of what I think on the player. And My viewing of Elliot Anderson has been limited, so I can't say all the things about him like you guys can, Newcastle fans can say about him. But I know that he's a versatile midfielder. I know that he's quite a hard tackler. I know he likes a challenge, and I also know he's young and there's a lot of potential. So you don't have to register him. The money is split quite well in terms of the fee, lots of installments and clauses, as I mentioned earlier. And he is going to bring something a little bit different that actually our midfielders don't have, because he isn't a kind of necessarily a defensive-minded midfielder. He's a bit of an 8, he's a bit of a 10. He can do it. He can do a few different jobs. So having someone like that in the team is really good. And when another team and another club like Newcastle are really, really sad that a player leaves, it should be a massive compliment to the team that is getting him, because they now know they're getting a really good player. So I'm excited to have him join. And as I said to you before, anyone that puts on this red shirt, you've got my full backing no matter what.
Absolutely fantastic words. So what you just said, Jamie, absolutely. You've got to back the players. You've got to get behind the team. That's love what I like about you as well, because you're a positive guy and you always says the right things. He's played 44 games for Newcastle, 3 seasons, and he scored 0 goals. And Bristol Rovers, 21 appearances, 8 goals he scored for the Gas. And he's got to have a 5-year contract, I believe. Signed a 5-year contract, like I said, installments. And for me, look after him. I think he's going to be a really, really, really good player for you guys, but he's got to be in the first team where is possible. Just a quick word on Newcastle before I let you wrap up the show. Newcastle United, I mean, you have Eddie Howe. Is Eddie Howe the right manager for Newcastle United? Can he take us further?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I wasn't too sure whether he'd still be in a job this time last year. Sorry, from last year to now. Because I thought that maybe the demands from the ownership to kind of keep the club in the Champions League or whatever maybe might happen. I didn't know if that they would be a bit more ruthless. But I'll be honest, I think that Eddie Howe should get the backing, because with no disrespect again to Newcastle, because I don't think this is a shot at their fans, it's the shot at the ownership. The ownership haven't ran the club as brilliantly as they could have in the last year because of the situation with PSR. Newcastle shouldn't have had to go down to the last day to make all these sales. There should have been a better structure in place for them so that you didn't have to sell someone like Elliot Anderson. Trying to sell Miguel Almiron before, stuff like that. It's really important. And I do tag into a lot of Newcastle news because a lot of my friends are Newcastle fans anyway, and I go to Newcastle regularly to see them. So I think you should give Eddie Howe the full backing of the club. I think you need to add depth in a lot of places. Your injury situation last year was really unfortunate. The Newcastle medical team needs a bit of an upgrade, clearly because of the treatment of Botman in particular, who suffered an ACL injury under quite suspicious circumstances, to be fair. So I think, the medical department needs looking at. The situation for the next PSR period needs to be looked at by the ownership, and just give your full back into Eddie Howe, because he's a great manager. He's good with the mentality. He knows his stuff, and more importantly, he's a very easy to get on with person, and he creates a good environment in a club like Newcastle. He's brought life back to the club. From an outside looking in perspective, and maybe I'm wrong and people disagree, but I'd put the full backing behind him.
Fantastic stuff. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming on, Jamie. I really appreciate you coming on, and it's been wonderful having you on. It's nice to get a Forest fan perspective. So I had about 10 people wanted to come on, but obviously you got there first, and I really appreciate that. But I will be getting Forest fans on in the future as well, for sure. And would you like to tell me who could find you on your channel and your YouTube channel as well, please?
Well, first of all, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and I've really enjoyed speaking to you. If you do want to find me on X, you can find me at I'm Jamie Martin. I'm back on it after a while of being off. If you want to find me on YouTube, just search up Jamie Martin. You'll see my ugly face on there in the profile picture, and I'm doing a few reviews and stuff for Forest, and I'm sure we'll link up again next season before and after we play Newcastle. So, find me there.
Definitely, man. And we love that. And the link is in the title as well. I'm Jamie Martin, and I will send out this video out probably later on tonight, if not tomorrow. And if you like the video, like what you watch, guys, make sure you like and subscribe, and tell me, would you be happy having Vlachodimos, so if I'm announcing it right, at our club? And will you give the lad time as well? I will do backstage quickly, Jamie, in a minute. But until then, guys, like and subscribe. As always, I will